How y'all doing, Warrior? It's your boy Jamie the Motivator. We're here again on the Too Crowded podcast, where I talk to successful individuals about what made them successful. We have candid conversations, just talking about their journey to success, their road to success. Today, I'm here with a special person, one of my first mentors, one of my first pastors in faith that introduced me to ministry, kind of like a father figure, like a big brother. Over the years, I've been able to reach out to him about everything. Whether you know it or not, you was the first person who gave me the first piece of knowledge for business.
Okay.
I was 20 years old, fresh getting the business, one of the youngest ever to get a building out of my location. And the landlord gave me the contract and all kind of words I didn't know,
Sure.
terms that I didn't understand.
Yep.
And off the rip, you were saying, ask for 6 months. He know that you don't know X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I was like, 6 months? He want me to start paying in 30 days. And you was like, just tell him 6 months. And even if he don't go with it, it's going to come down to still benefiting you for at least 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately I ended up getting like 8 months.
Wow.
So, but that knowledge, that simple knowledge right there was the first introductory into entrepreneurship on and over to how to carry yourself as a man, how to present yourself to the world, and how to be a man of God at the same time while still being in the world.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, I'm here with Pastor Shelley. How you
Hey.
doing today?
Great, man. Excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity and much love to you, man.
Absolutely. So while I'm having these conversations week in, week out,
Yes, sir.
so many people always care about what you're driving,
Yep.
who you know, going into a room, name dropping, what vacations you've been to.
Absolutely.
I look at success a lot different. I look at success in terms of who you are, what made you.
Right.
I believe that success is a mindset. I believe it's a spirit. I believe it leaves clues. I learn more for success from people from what they don't say. I want to see how successful people tie their shoes up. Just the little minute things.
Sure.
I met you in 2005 at 16 years old, and I've been able to model you from the background.
Yes, sir.
Where did that start, and how did you get to where you are today?
I just thought about some of the term that you used when you said we were looking over the leasing agreement contract, and you said, well, you gave me the knowledge. Thing that's interesting is I think what's more important than knowledge is wisdom. Wisdom is knowing what to do with the knowledge that you have. So many times we are chasing knowledge, but if you don't know how to apply it, it doesn't do you any good. And I say that to say I did not know that while I was learning real estate, learning rental agreements and those things, that one day we would be sitting in a parking lot on Memorial Drive, and I'm having to share with you the things that I learned through trial and error that can help you become the thing that you're searching for. And so I think that's what it's about. At the end of the day, that we are willing to walk the walk that God wants us to walk, that know that he knows the end from the beginning. And so every piece of your life is necessary. When individuals don't know that, they complain about certain things. Right. Is because they're looking for something to take place, but it may not be the timing. And being honest with the fact that, okay, if I put you in a room with a bunch of millionaires because you're trying to be a millionaire, are you going to be there with your hand out, or are you going to talk to the 15 millionaires there with the understanding of, I just walked out of here learning 15 different ways to become a millionaire? Every person's not going to do that. They're going to, especially with our culture, they're going to say, can you give me? Can you let me have something? Can you give me this? And not understanding that if a person is financially strong by making, I'm not talking about somebody just leaving an inheritance to them. They look at things from a sow and reaping, a giving to an investment type of perspective. And so one of the things that I think a person need to do is make themselves valuable. Why are you needed? If I see that you're valuable, I'm gonna have you around, because everybody can be a leech, but everybody can't add value. You adding value to me may not look like what I'm giving you back. So, and that is why my motivation was, okay, I want to see you apply this. And personally, if you don't apply what I'm telling you, then I'm casting pearl before swine and I'm wasting my time. And time becomes the most valuable thing that you begin to recognize you have, because I've made a lot of challenging decisions. I've lost over $100,000 through years, right? But I can get that back. I can't get back the 30 minutes that you waste of my time. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's big. Man, you already gave him a lot. I didn't ask you none. So like I said, you're the first person that I've seen in faith, but still have an entrepreneur mindset, still have an entrepreneur existence, and it comes across in your messages, from the small things you say, week in, week out. I didn't go to college, but I felt like years of the knowledge that I was able to pick up from you, week in, week out, that was college. I feel like those were courses. I feel like I still got books of knowledge and wisdom, kind of engaging to like how to apply to my business as you broke down the word. Where did that come from? Because a lot of ministers don't speak on that, or a pastor like that.
I believe everybody has a grace. A grace is a thing that you do that you become fruitful in without trying hard. That's when you understand your grace. Your grace is the thing that drives you when no one else is around. If you're motivated by how much money you're going to make, that's not your grace, right? So and I say that to say, when you talk about entrepreneurship, my mother's grandfather sold moonshine back in the day. This was my mom's mother's dad, okay? But my grandfather, my mom's dad, his mother, watch this, she was a madam. She ran a prostitution house. She had real estate, and she owned a cleaning service. So I got on both spectrums, entrepreneur. Now, here's the thing. By the time I am 12 years old, my biological mother is married to my sister's dad, and they are drug dealers from John Hope Projects on Northside Drive, down the street from what is the Dome now. And I learned how to bag cocaine. At 10 years old, I learned how to bag cocaine, wear it, and hide it. So still entrepreneurship. That's my point, what I'm trying to help you to understand. That now, many times in our community, entrepreneurship doesn't start with doing the right thing because we lack the opportunity. So it normally hides under dope selling. Because if you're going to sell drugs and be successful, you got to understand bookkeeping. You got to be good with numbers. You got to understand sowing and reaping, investing. You got to understand payroll. You got to all these things you got to do, right? But now you take that same person, and that's why I have a heart for a person that may be doing wrong, because that was me. Every time we was in the trap, we did not think we was wrong, right? We just felt as though we could do something different, but we didn't know what different was. All right. And so when you talk about college, I'm not against college. I believe some people are assigned to go. I'm just not. Right. And here's my point. From the perspective of, I should always seek to learn more. And hear what I'm saying for folks who hear this. I know you're not going to have an issue with this. You should always desire to learn more, but tell me the course in college you take that makes you an entrepreneur. College does not teach entrepreneurship. It's designed that way. Because people who really have money do not teach you courses on getting to their level of wealth. They teach you how to be great employees. And a person who is driven, because it's a sign. My point is, entrepreneurship is not something I woke up and I saw somebody else doing. I can trace my bloodline that here's entrepreneurship. It's wrong, right? My grandfather selling moonshine was equivalent to me selling drugs, right? No. It was in me. It's in my DNA. So from a minister's standpoint, I look at the text and God speaks to me based upon what my assignment is. And my assignment is connected to that. So it wasn't something I saw somebody else doing and I tried to repeat it. I hear God from an entrepreneur tone because that's my DNA.
And it just comes out in those parables, because I felt like me starting my business, sustaining my business, and having the wherewithal to endure those tough moments came simply from being on your leadership over those years.
And that's what made you say that, and I thank you for sharing that. I just shared on the message yesterday, Jamie. I know I saw you a couple weeks ago. We was doing a series on your testimony, We Speak For You. But I did a message yesterday entitled The Purpose of Your Testimony, and this is something I never seen. When you look at Revelations 12 and 11, it says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Now, I've quoted that a ton, but I never sat down and studied the text. And I sat down and studied the text, and I began to teach on it yesterday. And what I did not know, that your testimony from God's perspective was meant to be a weapon used to defeat the enemy here on earth. Because if you look at that chapter, it shows a fight of Satan and Michael the archangel in heaven. He gets kicked out of heaven, and it says that the devil, Satan, the old serpent, now goes to earth, him and the angels that follow him. But here's the thing. He was defeated in heaven, but how do we defeat him on earth? Two things. The blood of the Lamb, the sacrifice of Christ, the birth, the life, the death, the resurrection of Christ. He already did that. The second piece of the puzzle is us, your testimony. And if you study testimony, it's going to take you into a witness of, meaning I had a encounter. I know this for a fact. Mm-hmm. So I say that to say, now we look at everything that we've been through in life. When I was 9 years old, my mom and dad divorced, and I saw my dad hit crack cocaine for the first time. It was hurtful. I went through a lot having parents on drugs, but it was necessary for the bigger purpose. My mother teaching me how to sell drugs, her and my father-in-law. Not to say I had to go through this, but I went through it, and it was necessary. And so God does something that's interesting, that's found in Romans 8:31. It says that all things work together for the good to them that love God, to those that are called according to his purpose. I'm sorry, 28, Romans 8:28. And so here's the thing that I love. I don't have a problem with sharing my past and everything that I've been through. I'm not ashamed of nothing. I'm not proud of everything, but I'm not ashamed of anything. Because God is the only one who can take my good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, roll it all together. And he says in his word, if I love him, which means if I'm obedient, that's God's love language, is my obedience. He said, if you obey me, I'm going to take everything that you've been through and I'm going to work it out for your good. And so that's what you end up witnessing and eating from.
Wow, that is big in itself. And it brings me to, like, with your mindset and you being unapologetic about who you are, what's on your life, it brings you to a place of being authentic.
Sure.
So you've been able to, outside of, church and outside the word of God, been able to maneuver in spaces.
Sure.
That's put you into rooms with people that the average person get into these rooms, they're going to conform.
Sure.
The person might not even know they're in ministry, not even know they're in faith, but I've been able to witness on the side of you and see that you still been able to be who you are in these rooms and have these conversations.
Right.
Where did that come from, and how can my viewers apply that to their life? Because I know so many people get into the rooms and they become fans. You're not there to be a fan, and that becomes detriment to so many people in their growth.
Well, let's start off with the word you use. Fan is short for fanatic. Why would I be a fanatic of another human who put his pants on just like me, got to go to the bathroom just like me, gonna stink when he leave the bathroom just like me? Why I'm a fanatic? The only reason I'm a fanatic is because I don't understand who I am. I can't appreciate the person that looks back at me when I look in the mirror. So with that being said, I'm not a starstruck person. Now, when you say, how do you get this? I think all my training in life has gotten me to this, right? And my wife probably see this and she can tell you, she sees somebody known, ooh, that's so-and-so. Yeah, I'm not finna run over there. I'm not finna ask another man for his autograph. I'm not moved by him. Oh, he's shorter than I thought he was. That's how I'm gonna look at you. You see what I'm saying? I'm not in awe, because I love who I look back, who I see in the mirror. I know my life. I know what you betray, but I know me. So why would I put how I feel about you over how I feel about me when I know my life? I know my story. Okay. And so when I wasn't saved, I was out there. I got into a lot of trouble. I was the person who, I used to say I was a fighter, but I recognize I was more of a protector. That if you with me, you with me. And if you say, hey, this what's happened, I'm gonna ride with you. I'm a loyalist by nature, right? And so going back again, all these things work together for the good. So once I get into what you call the room or around this person that has a name, I'm thinking about purpose. Why am I here? What is it that God is seeking to accomplish in the earth realm through me being here?
Correct. Now,
especially if you ask me to come. If you ask me to come, why would I change to conform to something else when you knew who I was before I was invited?
That's big. That's everything.
Why?
Yeah.
And you don't understand. Once you do that, you lose respect to the person that you're in awe for, because he's not apologetic who he is.
Correct.
So the moment you start doing that, automatically on their radar, you start going down. And just like I shared with you privately, I've been in situations, still do it now. I minister to people who finna who's looking at serious jail time, I can get off the phone with them or literally happen. I can go into a right street right now, talk to the guys 18 to 24 who are going through the re-enrollment program, leave, go back to my car, answer a text, and make a phone call from a person that's making $50 million a year. And within an hour, I've dealt with those two gamuts. And here's what I found out, Jamie, in that pain don't discriminate. The person who is making 50 million, a lot of people think all I gotta do is make enough money. But there's a trial that's gonna hit your life that your money can't get you out of. And guess what that person who's making $50 $50 million gonna say? Hey, Pastor, could you pray for me, man? Right. They not Mr. So-and-so anymore. They are broken. They're crying. They're going through something. Their wife is in ICU. Their son is dying, or they heard this information, or this just happened, or they just got a phone call. They can lose everything. The pride is out the door. Hey, Pastor Shelley, man, I knew who to call. I done been in situations, Jamie, where I done had to tell a person straight out. They say, hey, pray for me with this deal. That's okay. I pray for you. But everybody know you may not want my answer because I'm not going to give you what you want. Right. And the Holy Spirit said, look, tell him this. And what it was, without giving names, that the individual was living with a woman, and they weren't married. And he was believing for a life-changing deal. I said, okay, I'll pray for you. This is what God gave me. When we got back on the phone, he said, man, what you got for him? I said, the Holy Spirit told me to tell you, you will not prosper in this as long as you're living in sin. Now, he said, oh, okay. He got off the phone. Publicly, at a birthday celebration I had, he stood up in front of everybody and said, I would not be married now had not this man challenged me to get my life together. How many people here around would do that? They're going to look at, oh, I got to cuddle to this person because that's so-and-so.
They're going to tell them what you want to hear.
That's not me. And if you look throughout the Bible, name a time where a prophet walked into a room and people didn't respect the prophet. The prophet had the king scared. That's the Bible. Right. But we've lost that because now we have conformed to the world. I'm talking about people in ministry. We have conformed to the world as if they got something more than what we have. No, I'm not going to do that. So when I walk in, I'm not here for none of y'all. I'm here for him. And whatever his will is, that's what I'm here for. And if he tell me to leave, I'll leave, even if you invite me.
So how have you been able to endure people putting you up? You know, and in my culture, you know, you can have, you know, in ministry, the person that's the leader, don't talk about my bishop, you know, don't talk about, you know, and it's like, I don't even think they go to church no more for the word. What they're getting, it's just like, it's a fashion show. They know who's going to be there, and they lift this person up. And how have you been able, because I know that's the culture.
Sure.
You know, so how have you been able to do that?
Well, it's several things. I think part of it is I can't control how you feel about me. That's impossible. I can't control whether you like me or hate me. That is out my realm. So why would I focus on that? Now, God has the wisdom enough to whereby he can give me respect in your eyes. Respect is earned, and I was teaching this piece with our leadership. Respect is given. I'm using the analogy of Moses. Moses leaves the children of Israel in Egypt, and he's not around them for 40 years. The first 40 years of his life, he's in Egypt. The second 40 years of his life, he's in the desert Median. And then the third 40 years, he goes to Egypt, get the children of Israel, and they head back to the wilderness. He raises up. God uses this man that has a grace of being multicultural. He is a Hebrew who's raised in a household with the Egyptians, so he understands how to navigate in the palace. But he also looks like the people who's enslaved. He feels a tug on the inside of him to defend them. He tries to do it out of self, and he ends up killing an Egyptian. Pharaoh then says, "Get back in your place, or I'm gonna kill you." He takes off running. And God uses that to show Moses, I'll put something in you to defend them. But if you try to do it out of flesh, it's going to fall apart. When Moses comes back to Egypt, he no longer uses the same method that he used before, because now the next 40 years of life, he has learned how to trust God in spite of everything else. But what takes place is that Moses is trying to help them. One moment they tell Moses they love him. The next moment they complain. Yep. The next moment they tell him they love him again. The next moment they say they complain. Well, he trains this guy by the name of Joshua. And now Joshua is responsible for getting them into the promised land. God tells Joshua in chapter 1 of Joshua chapter 1, he says, I'm going to magnify you in the sight of Israel. So if I just leave you with that word magnify, you may think that God is referring to, I'm finna make you popular.
Correct.
But if you search that word out, here's what magnify means in that text. It means to grow.
People run with put all eyes on you.
I'm growing you. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. If God does give you the lights, if he does extend you the platform, you better be prepared that your character is strong enough to sustain the elevation of where people put you. Because if it's not there, it's going to crush you. So that is why God must build you before he places you. If God does not build you before he places you, the place that you get to will crush you. And so if you let that be the motivation, then it doesn't matter what people say. Because here's what I recognize. You can say Hosanna on Sunday and say crucify him on Thursday. So since I know that, because if they did that to my Savior, why would I take to heart what you tell me, even if you tell me I'm great? Here's how I hear it. I'm great today. What's going to happen before the week is over that you might change your mind? I can't control neither, so why would I focus on that?
In the first place.
There you go.
Wow. And I think you probably set some people free.
Yeah.
And, in so many different industries, because it's like, I know for myself, I've seen a lot of my peers, a lot of men, we do stuff for the opinion of others.
Sure.
We go into industries or careers because of women, because it's popular,
Sure.
because of we thinking that there's certain money involved with it.
Right.
To get us back to people.
Yeah.
And then I see these people, they're not fulfilled.
Yep.
They're not happy. And they get to a place in life where it's like they wish. If I. How have you been able to maneuver through success in life without having no regrets?
I don't know that. I can't say I've done that because I have regrets.
And with those regrets, has it been like regret that you wish you would have changed, or regret that, okay, I realized that because of that regret, I'm able to propel the way I do.
I do ton of self-evaluation. One of the things I do is I'm always critiquing self, right? So if you're critiquing self and somebody else come behind you and critique you, chances are they probably saying something to you that you already told yourself. So why would you get offended? I can minister a message regardless of what goes on. On my way home, I'm going to think about, could I say it that different? I'm going to think about the fact that now my audience is bigger. So if I'm talking to somebody in Africa, if I use a vernacular that's used in Decatur, did I just lose them because they are not from Decatur? Nobody said this to me. I'm telling them, I'm saying it to myself. So now when you're using the word regret for me is a motivator whereby everything that I do, James, I'm gonna go in full speed. I'm gonna give it all I got. But I was wired that way too. If I'm gonna fight you, I'm gonna hit you first. If I lose, it wasn't because I gave everything I got. So it's not, you're not gonna pump me and no, I'm finna see what you're about. I'm finna see, can you really work?
Test it, yeah.
I was like that when I wasn't saved. So people that can listen to this and they say, yeah, he lying. So if I'm 13, 14, 15 years old, I wasn't a talker as it relates to arguing with people. If you start talking, I'm gonna hit you in your mouth. I'm finna see, can you do what you say? Right? I was wired that way. And I found out real early in life, most of the time people can't produce what they talking about. No. They prefer the image. Now this is when I'm 46, right? So we're talking about 30 years ago. Look what it is now. So most of the stuff that people say, they really can't do. That's not really them.
Correct.
So I'm not impressed by that, right? And so now I use myself as my own measuring stick, Jamie. I'm not chasing to become nobody else. I'm the only Yaquis Shelley. Now I'm a senior. I got a junior. Now my son just had a son. There's 3 of us. Yaquis, Bertrand, Shelley. Right? But now I recognize when I sign paperwork, I sign Shelley, senior. Why am I signing senior? Because I'm mindful of I got a junior behind me and I tell him, you may have my name, but you ain't me.
Correct.
I have a third, right? The very name that I was ashamed of in school because people couldn't pronounce. Now I'm leaving legacy with that same name. Why? Because Yaquis means strength, boldness, leader, African descent. So I can be in a room and talking to somebody say, oh, Yaquis, that's not where it come from. Immediately I can tell you where it come from. Immediately I can tell you what it means. Immediately I can tell you I always walked in it, but sometimes I was walking in perversion outside of what God originally intended. But now I know. So now that I know, why would I try to be Jamie? Right. There ain't nothing wrong with you, but I'm forfeiting me. Right. You see what I'm saying? I got greatness on the inside of me, and I'm passing it down. That I told my son, look, name him this. We know what it means. That every time I say, little Yaquis, come here, I'm saying strength, boldness, leader, come here.
That's amazing. So that brings me to, what would you tell your now being 46, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh man, that is super amazing. Knowing what I know now. I can't say, Jamie, that I have regrets with the 20-year-old me. If I had to start over at 20 and give you my life at 20, Jamie, at 20, man, I was married already.
With 2 kids?
2 kids.
Yeah.
Probably the third one on the way. Right? By the time I'm 25, 26, I got 5. Me and my wife got married at 19 and 18. We were married 26 years, 27 in January. Right? And I can say, and this go live, I haven't stepped out on my wife. No. See what I'm saying? So what would I tell 20-year-old Yaquis Bertrand Shelley Sr., knowing what I know now? Go through the process. Be more verbal about how you feel. Not just when you're upset. Man, I'm thinking about the grace of God that a lot of stuff he just had me doing without even knowing, right? I would have hugged my children more. I would have told them that I love them more.
Because you said that, I kiss on my son so much, and he's like, Daddy, that's enough. I said, it's never enough.
Never enough.
It's never enough. And it's like now I kiss him literally like 100 times a day.
And you have to teach him that, because our culture, being black, being a male, you're going to get fought when you walk out the door. Sad part is you may get fought when you walk back in. So when is it okay for me to let my hair down? When is it okay for I'm really Clark Kent, but out here I got to be Superman. Correct. And so you doing that to him, he's saying it's enough, but to your point, no, it's not. But he's going to start doing it to his son. He's going to start doing his son. Now you're breaking a generational curse of being affectionate, and it's okay. Right? And so he going to hear you. He need to hear you. Yeah, I love you, man. Now I say that more with adult sons than I did when they were small, because I was just trying to make them tough. I just, boy, life gonna hit you. I want to make sure you don't fall. I gotta make you strong. I gotta make you strong. And there's an element to that. But then there's also an element to sitting down, spending more family time, quality time with them. That it's not about doing anything. It's just us being together. So I think it would be more of a family thing that I would do different, more than a business piece that I would do different if I had to do it all again. And I would have did more for self. Right. I would have took care of myself along the way while I'm taking care of other people.
Yeah, they say before you can be any great to anybody else, you got to start with yourself first.
Absolutely.
So that's big. As this, we bring it to a close. Everything about, I like to end off with a quote or a mantra.
Okay.
And this brings me back to what you have in the sanctuary, what I always been able to live off of. Yeah. Where preparation meets opportunity, purpose is birthed. Mm-hmm. And that's what it seemed like the whole theme of your life has been preparation.
Yep.
To get you, to birth up something great. Mm-hmm. What's one of your mantras that you live off of? What does it mean?
Well, you stole the one that I have. Right? You got that one from me, right? But I just got to echo that using, and I'm pretty sure you'll probably piggyback off that at another time. You got to understand that God knows your life from the end, from the beginning. He didn't make a mistake when he made you. It didn't throw him off when you begin to go through trials and tribulations in life, the good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. What if, just what if, the whole time God was preparing you for something greater than anything you ever seen in your life? I believe that there's a lot of people, especially in this generation, they're called to be first fruits in their bloodline. And what I mean by that, you're the one to break the cycle. Right. You're the one to go into things that other people dreamed about. You're the one. So using again with the children of Israel, Jamie, when we talked about this over breakfast, God gave them a promise that I'm going to do this with the children of Israel. Everybody heard it. Every generation heard it. But it's one generation that got a chance to actually cross over.
Live it.
And to see it. I believe that that's where we are right now. That's why the enemy fights people like they are. Because if you recognize, oh, that's why I got to be faithful to my wife. Not just because they said, I got to break the curse of adultery. Oh, I got to show love to my son because I got to break just beating them all the time. When you're doing it purposefully, then it has more impact. Even if the person that you're doing it for don't understand yet.
That's a bit. That trumps mine. So that's good.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, I thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for inspiring the world. I feel like a lot of people was definitely impacted today because we realize that it's more than just business.
Sure.
We all love business, but what about the man?
Absolutely.
You know, people sometimes say, you like Superman. I said, no, I'm just a man who trying to be super, because I'm trying to be real well-rounded. Absolutely. And I definitely get that from you. Yeah. So I thank you again and public for being impacting me. Yeah. Impacting others, impacting my young brother here today. And as always, play this around, get your tips from it. You're going to definitely want to replay it. I know this is going to be some good gems in it. And as always, I meet you at the top because the bottom is too crowded.